Emma Sinclair had always trusted the people closest to her. She was smart, ambitious, and had a heart full of kindness. But in the high-powered world of New York corporate life, kindness often became a weakness. Her fiancé, Daniel, seemed perfect, a charming, successful man who promised her the world. Yet, behind closed doors, he was plotting something far darker. Emma discovered, by accident, a series of emails revealing that Daniel had been siphoning funds from her startup and planning to frame her for financial crimes. Emma felt the sting of betrayal like a dagger to her heart. Everything she had built, every sleepless night, every ounce of effort, could be destroyed because of one man's greed. That night, as she stared at the city lights from her penthouse window, Emma made a silent vow: she would not be broken. She would get her revenge. The days that followed were filled with pain and reflection. Emma knew she couldn't act recklessly, she needed a plan. She began to change not her kindness, but her approach. She adopted a colder, sharper demeanor, learning the art of manipulation and strategy. She started studying Daniel's habits, his weaknesses, and his circle of allies. Every dinner, every business meeting, became a chance to gather information. In this process, Emma found allies she never expected: Ava, a brilliant hacker with a personal grudge against Daniel, and Marcus, a former investigative journalist who had been ruined by Daniel's lies. Together, they became a force ready to bring him down. Emma's revenge wasn't about chaos, it was about precision. She carefully began to plant seeds of doubt around Daniel's empire. She leaked small, untraceable hints of fraud to journalists. She subtly manipulated board members, creating rifts and mistrust. Meanwhile, Daniel remained oblivious, arrogant in his belief that Emma would simply crumble under the weight of betrayal. But Emma was no longer the woman he thought he knew. Every move she made was calculated, and every step brought him closer to the edge of exposure. The first major blow came during a high-profile investor meeting. Emma, posing as a potential business partner, revealed a critical flaw in Daniel's financial dealings, just enough to alarm the investors but not enough to trace back to her. Panic rippled through the room, and Daniel struggled to maintain control. From the sidelines, Emma watched as the seeds of distrust blossomed into chaos. For the first time since the betrayal, she felt a spark of satisfaction. This was only the beginning. As Emma dug deeper into Daniel's world, she discovered something shocking: he wasn't working alone. A shadowy network of corporate criminals, including some of the city's most respected businessmen, was aiding him in laundering money and hiding fraud. This revelation made Emma realize that her revenge wouldn't just be personal, it would expose a criminal empire. She also discovered personal secrets that Daniel had kept hidden from everyone: affairs, betrayals, and manipulations that affected countless lives. Her mission now had stakes beyond her own heartbreak. Emma knew that brute force confrontation would be suicide. Instead, she perfected the art of disguise and deception. She started attending parties and networking events under a new identity, a mysterious investor named Elena Gray. Under this guise, she gained access to Daniel's closest allies. They confided in her, thinking she was harmless and influential. Every detail they shared became ammunition for Emma's ultimate plan. Meanwhile, Daniel began feeling the first twinges of paranoia, though he didn't know why. With Ava's hacking skills, Emma accessed Daniel's private accounts, revealing transactions that were both illegal and morally corrupt. Marcus, the journalist, compiled evidence linking Daniel and his associates to multiple crimes. Emma orchestrated a subtle but devastating financial trap. She manipulated the stock market and business contracts to weaken Daniel's empire. Deals that once seemed secure began to fall apart. Daniel tried to recover, but every move he made only deepened the damage. Daniel finally sensed that something or someone was orchestrating his downfall. In a desperate attempt, he invited Elena Gray to a private dinner, intending to woo her into loyalty. Emma played her role perfectly, feigning interest while planting subtle evidence that would later incriminate him. During the dinner, Emma revealed a hint of the truth, not fully, but enough to unsettle him. Daniel left the meeting uneasy, unaware that his own mistakes were being recorded and documented meticulously for the world to see. Emma released evidence anonymously to key journalists and investors. The fallout was immediate. Daniel's company stock plummeted, partners severed ties, and authorities began asking questions. Panic set in, and Daniel was forced into damage control that only made things worse. Meanwhile, Emma stayed in the shadows, ensuring that her identity remained hidden. Every public collapse, every headline, was another step toward justice, not just for herself, but for everyone Daniel had hurt. Emma's plan was now in full swing. Daniel's closest allies began turning on him, worried that continuing to support him would destroy their own careers. Small betrayals turned into massive leaks, confidential files, secret bank accounts, and personal messages all pointing to Daniel's guilt found their way into the hands of regulators and journalists. Daniel, desperate and paranoid, started seeing enemies everywhere. Friends vanished, business deals fell apart, and every step he took was carefully countered by Emma's intricate strategy. She had become the unseen force controlling his world. Emma orchestrated a private meeting with Daniel's most loyal ally, Mark, secretly convincing him to switch sides. Mark, tempted by immunity and protection, provided Emma with the final piece of evidence, the account that held Daniel's stolen funds. With this, Emma was ready to strike the final blow. The betrayal that had destroyed her life would now destroy Daniel's. Every lie he had spun, every plan he had made to ruin her, would collapse under the weight of truth. Emma arranged a public press conference, under the guise of a business summit. The media, regulators, and investors were all present. Using Marcus as her spokesperson, she revealed Daniel's crimes, fraud, embezzlement, and personal betrayals that had affected countless lives. The room erupted in shock. Daniel tried to defend himself, but the evidence was irrefutable. Cameras captured every expression of fear and desperation on his face. His empire crumbled in real time, just as Emma had planned. Finally, Emma confronted Daniel privately. This time, there was no disguise, no elaborate plan, just the raw truth. Daniel, broken and humiliated, begged for forgiveness, claiming he was remorseful. Emma looked him in the eyes, steady and calm. She said only what she needed: "You underestimated me. You thought I was weak. You were wrong." With that, she walked away, leaving him to face the consequences of his actions. The power had shifted completely, and Emma was finally free. After Daniel's downfall, Emma focused on herself. She rebuilt her company, stronger and more ethical than before. Ava and Marcus became trusted partners, and together they worked to ensure Daniel's victims were compensated. Emma had achieved her revenge, but she realized her true victory wasn't in his destruction, it was in reclaiming her life and her peace. She had transformed pain into strength, betrayal into wisdom, and anger into justice. Sitting in her new office, overlooking the skyline, Emma reflected on her journey. Revenge had been a path she had walked carefully, with patience and precision. She had become someone she never thought she could be: resilient, fearless, and unstoppable. And though shadows of the past lingered, they no longer controlled her. Emma smiled, knowing that true power was not in revenge alone, it was in rising above it.